and welcome to the Thriving Writers Show. This interview happened last summer, before the show was even an idea in my head. Fortunately, we recorded it. My guest in this episode is a friend I met in one of my writing groups. Word got around that Amy Torres was having some phenomenal success on Medium.com. I was on there too, but honestly, I wasn't too successful. Today, I'll share what she taught me, strategies any writer can use to get all the attention you could ever want for your work. Ready to expand your reach? Let's dive in. All right, the first question I have is, I was just wondering, how long have you been on Medium so far?
I got on Medium after I attended Tribe Writers Live in March. So I think I signed up for an account in March. I barely did anything with it in April. And then I hired somebody who called himself a Medium mentor. And
interesting.
He really helped me get used to the platform and just understand how it works. And cool. And then I took off.
Awesome. So you really haven't been on there too long to have accomplished what you have so far. That's cool.
Yeah, so probably starting in May, I got pretty consistent with my writing, and I had 0 followers. And now it's the beginning of September, and I have about 2,100 followers.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, that's a lot more than I've got right now.
I'm surprised to hear that, and I'm pretty sure that you can pleasantly surprise yourself and, have a upsurge after we talk.
That's what I'm hoping for. All right, the next question I have, and my notes are over here, so you'll have to...
Sure. And by the way, if anyone is interested in the mentor, his name is Jonas Ellison.
Okay.
Jonas Ellison.
Great.
And he has a publication on Medium called Higher Thoughts.
Okay. I'll check that out.
Yeah, you can look up Jonas, and if you felt that he might be a good fit for you, go for it. He's a great guy.
Great. Now he's done some good things for you, I can tell.
Yeah, and I guess, Jonas feels like I could be a Medium mentor at this point too. So if you want to hire me, I could use the dough.
All right, yeah, sure. I'm a promoter, so I love to help people out in that way. So that's great.
Well, that would be great, Frank. That's why I started Medium Mastery, the Facebook group, because I just thought, let's share freely what we know. And then if anybody would like to hire me for my expertise on that, it would be a great little side income for now.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great thing. I've probably gotten some coaching out of the things that I have done. People who want to write a book and just don't know what to do with it. And it's been a good opportunity just putting my work in front of people to open that door and, generate a little income. And hopefully over time, we can both make more doing this.
Yeah, hopefully. As I've checked out your website and things, I got to see a picture of your family, and you feel very warm and make yourself available. And then when I saw the picture of your family, I just felt like I could trust you.
Yeah, well, great. That's certainly an image I love to project. So. I'm glad to know I'm successful at that. All right, the next question is, so what's the subject matter you write about? Is it just stuff that you've learned and experienced for the most part, or how would you characterize it?
One thing that felt very liberating to me about Medium was that it was this big blank canvas. It wasn't my website, and I felt I could experiment in different subject areas. Because
that's awesome.
I was really trying, and I am still trying to find myself and find where I want to focus most of my energy. So I have written on a variety of subjects that I have experience with. One of them is psychology. One is spirituality.
Yeah.
And another is writing. And that came as a surprise. I did not expect to be writing about writing.
Yeah, that is kind of cool. I'm definitely interested in that and psychology, just from
wanting to understand what makes human beings do what they do, how you connect with other people. And, I think that's probably what has driven me to create the group that I've got, the Tribe Builders Network. And, it would be a mistake to say that it was all me. I mean, there's lots of people in there doing lots of great things. And I'm really surprised and pleased with what's going on in there. And I've learned a lot from people, and that's just cool.
It's the
met
best.
people like you. So, yeah, it is.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the best. And the thing that's challenging for me about Facebook is I might throw out a question and not necessarily get a notification when there's an answer. And then I don't know if I got an answer. And then I go down the rabbit hole. I'm scrolling around and I'm repeating my efforts, and so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Facebook can demand a lot of time when you post status updates and try to get reactions and things like that. And
Frank, there used to be a trick where you could type your name into a little sidebar, and if you searched for yourself in the Facebook group, all of the posts that related to your post came up. So then you could see whether you got an answer. But I don't see that there anymore. So that slowed me down.
One of those great Facebook changes.
Maybe.
Yeah. That is a cool idea, though. I would love to see that come back. So maybe we can rally the people that matter at Facebook to bring it back.
Yeah. I was wondering if you have any tips on how to find the reply to a question.
I think it's a lot easier if they tag you with your name, but there's no guarantee that they're going to do that. And
got it. Okay.
So
well, that's good for me to know.
Tricky. Yeah. And then too, if it happens, if there's a lot of activity on your feed, where you get your notifications, it can move down the list and you have to scroll down a ways. And I'm sure you've experienced that.
For sure.
So, if you don't want to go and check every hour, that can be kind of a challenge.
Okay.
But, that's probably just something you'll have to do just because of the way Facebook is set up.
It's the nature of the beast. Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. Next question I have is, well, you experienced growth pretty fast. How fast would you say that it started, or what was the way it kind of played out?
The way that my followers started to snowball was when I submitted my work to publications, and I chose the big successful publications. So I tried submitting at first to Be Yourself, which does not demand that your writing talent be that accomplished, but it does demand that you write from your heart and you use the first person, you say I, and the editor of Be Yourself is a beautiful man named Joel Miwako, and he will interact with you if you follow his submission guidelines and submit. Yeah. And I think he rejected my first three articles.
Wow.
But nicely, he said, these are very well written, but not for us.
And did he give you some constructive tips?
It was because, he was really letting me know, like, read my publication, figure out what we like. And so I did go back and look more closely, and I was really scared to submit again, but I did. And I did it within a very short time, like within a day or two. I just got back to him and said, how about this? And
that's the way to do it. I think, if you wait too long, I think you'll just be less and less likely to do anything with that, because, rejection hurts. That's for sure. When I'm like any human being, if somebody sticks me with a pen, I bleed just like anybody else.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that you've learned how to move on past that.
Yeah. Well, this white hair is not for nothing,
Hey, I got some too.
So then he accepted my piece, and he had a readership of about 110,000 at that time. And as I was writing consistently, my writing started to improve. And I noticed that within myself, like, oh, I'm getting my chops back, because I do have a history of writing and publishing for business magazines and in the advertising industry. So, but that isn't what my passion was. That isn't really what I wanted to write about.
Yeah.
So then that gave me courage to submit to Thrive Global.
Cool.
And also, I was watching some of the Tribe Writers people have success. So I noticed that
Yeah.
Danielle Burnock got an article on Thrive Global, and I was like, wow, if she can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you never know until you try, right?
Exactly. And we wrote about similar things. And so then I was accepted at Thrive Global. And I was reading a lot, Frank, from other people to see who gets the big readership. And
Yeah.
people like Benjamin Hardy that Jeff Goins introduced us to has a very formulaic style. And it might not be the style I want, but, you know, he usually does some clickbait with something like 5 reasons why. And then it's very important to write a juicy subhead. So your headline and your subhead are crucial. And then, you know, I have to follow up with rich content.
Sure.
That's, you know.
Yeah, you don't want to lure them in and not give them anything of substance when they get there. So.
Yeah, and I consider myself a writer. I learned that a lot of people on Medium are coaches who are writing, and so the quality of their writing is not as good. But Benjamin Hardy is trying to do everything right. So, you know, then he'll do his list, but he'll give rich content. He'll pull out quotes from well-known people. He'll cite some books that he read, and so he backs up what he wrote with some good, you know, accreditation or social proof or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
and
that's it. Stuff that gives it a credibility, like you said.
And editors like it because it makes them feel more sure that, you know, this is good for my publication. So I started, you know, just making sure that I had some of that in my articles, not always, but when you just write a personal essay without adding any kind of quote or scientific fact, not that I believe in them. I don't think anything is a fact because they're always changing.
Yeah. It's hard to separate the facts from opinions sometimes, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But all of that helps an editor at a publication feel that you know what you're doing. And formatting makes it much easier for people to read. So if you pay attention and you start to use some of the Medium tools to do a subhead, to do you know, a centered quote. And I know that you like to use click to tweet. So that's a very good tool to throw in there as well. And I'm still trying to figure that out. And all of those things come together. So then after a while, I've been submitting to the Coffeelicious. They don't get back to me. But the Mission, who has a huge readership, they accepted my first piece and then my second piece. And now I've slowed down a bit. So I'm not submitting as often because I've read that it works just as well, if not better, to take your time writing a really good piece and submit less often.
That makes sense, for sure, rather than feeling that pressure maybe like you do in the beginning to, I just got to get a bunch of content out there so people will have something to read and, you know, and sort of establish that base. But yeah, once you get it out there, then it probably once a week or I don't know, maybe even less frequently is enough. Is that right?
According to this guy who did extremely well, I don't remember his name, he cut back to once every 2 weeks and really took his time writing very thorough, good articles, and his readership increased.
Wow. Is it pretty significantly?
Significantly.
Wow.
I wish I could remember his name, but I was convinced. And it also kind of suited my style. So I calmed down. One way to get followers on Medium is to interact with other articles that you're reading, to leave a comment, to even cite your own article. So maybe copy and paste the link to your article. And if it's an organic fit in your comment to the other article, if you can say, you know, I'm really vibing with you on this and you might enjoy what I had to say about it. And then you just pop that in. Now,
make it more natural then.
Yeah, you want to be natural. And the person who wrote the article may not respond, but other people reading the comments, if they're interested in that subject, they may come over to your article now because they want more on that issue.
That's a great tip.
Cool.
I like that one. Yeah, I think I may have used that a time or two in other platforms. But yeah, that's a good point. I mean, there's no reason why it wouldn't work on Medium as well. So.
And I think Medium likes when you're interacting. I think they can pick up the algorithms of how many, they consider that publishing. When you publish a comment, they don't they don't consider it an article, but they do consider it publishing and interacting. And it does something with your algorithm, which is useful.
I think that fits in with the new clap responses that they have on there.
Yeah. And, you know, I signed up for their Medium partnership and they accepted me as a Medium writer, but that means now I'm going to have to submit exclusive content that will be locked. So only people who are willing to pay for content will see it. Actually, they will also show it a little bit of the time to everybody, but not on a regular basis. So I think they're going to use it as a teaser, and then maybe you try to get... Yeah, and then you try to get back in and you're like, oh, I got in before and I didn't finish the article and now it's locked. And, you know.
Yeah, I understand that. That's just good marketing, you know, because you need to make a living, right? So.
Yeah.
All right, here's the next question. Are your posts original to Medium or do you import them from a blog? I guess if you're in the premium, you can't really do that, can you?
Yeah, premium must have some rules, but right now I find that I'm inspired to write new posts on Medium, and then I actually copy and paste them back to my blog. But in the beginning, I did it the other way. I tried to cull material I'd already written and then importing time-stamped it so it would have an old date. So I stopped doing that.
Huh.
And
What's
I would
the advantage, you think?
Well, when you published in Medium with the time-stamped old date, it doesn't show up in the feed because it's old.
Wow, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, eventually people will get to it, but it doesn't have the initial new status.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense too. If I guess that's sort of like putting an MP3 on a CD. It has a certain information on it, and it comes with the file. So I guess it's sort of the same idea.
Yeah. So anyhow, I decided that I was going to copy and paste, and that way I'd have the newer date. And you can actually change the date in your posts on Medium. You can schedule things, but you can't delete a timestamp from an imported post.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I hadn't even thought about that. But so how does that affect your SEO when you go the other way around?
Well, my website is such a work in progress that I don't even expect any SEO right now. So I'm not worrying about it. But I will say that in the call with Jeff Goins, which I wanted to mention to you, he made a very important point about, don't get caught up. These are my words. Don't get caught up in the romance of Medium or Quora or Reddit or Facebook or any of that too much, because just because you get a lot of followers on Medium, let's say, doesn't mean that it's converting into paid traffic.
That's true.
So he was saying, don't lose sight of your actual goal, which is to get people on your email list and then convert those people into buyers of your products. And I'm very guilty of not getting a product together and then I'm just writing for the joy of it, but I need money.
Yeah, right. I'm there with you. I mean, I of course, having a full-time job and then trying to do this, I like to call this my regular job, and then my other job, my day job, just because the mindset is better.
Yeah.
But really just trying to squeeze all that in, I'm forced to figure out, well, what's most important that I need to get done to get to the point where, I can convert people to buy something. And then I got to have time to create that something for them to buy. And the easiest thing right now is it's self-coaching, because I can create that, on individually with each person, because, but as you know, everybody's a little different. Everybody's got different goals, and customization is the way to go with that. I've found. So.
Yes, very much so.
And then of course later I can always package what I learn and do with people into something that can stand alone. And, if you want to just turn on a video and watch me talk, then it'll be there for you that way.
Exactly. Yeah. You're thinking the right way for sure.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. So,
You publish the book, it makes you an expert, and you already have your 26,000, if not more by this time.
Yeah, I do actually.
And that gives you that social authority that you can state that number, and it impresses. And
yeah, I found that.
That's great.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You probably told me some of this, but have you discovered anything else that works on Medium that you want to share that might help somebody else?
Yeah. If you write an article that people are responding to, and they do that either by clapping or by writing a comment, or sometimes they'll tweet something from your article, and they also highlight. If you notice that several people are highlighting one particular phrase, you can take that and write a whole article on that.
That's a great idea.
Because they're showing you, I'm interested in this. This caught me. So then, flesh that out and make that an article.
Yeah, that's a great way to get ideas, isn't it? Rather than just have to sit down and brainstorm, because as you said, they're just giving you that information.
Yeah, we tend to do this thing. It's called the curse of knowledge, which is we write an article with way too much information in it because we already know this stuff. So we take it for granted that it's going to be an easy read for the other person. But actually, so we might be like 5 keys to whatever, but actually it would be better for people to just read one key and for us to focus on that and break that out into understandable steps. And that gives us way more material as writers. And it helps readers just, first readers scan an article. It's so important to have subheads because first your headline draws them in and then they glance at it. Usually they just read the subheads, glance at the bottom, and then they're like, if you're lucky, they go back and actually start to read.
Yeah. What doors has posting on Medium opened for you as a writer or as whatever else that you want to do?
A couple of things. This may seem small, but it felt good. One of my articles was read enough on the Writing Cooperative that I became one of their paid writers this month. So I earned a grand total of $9.
That's like some of my book royalties sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. But at least it kind of broke a barrier. And Frank, back in the day when I used to write, and I was a freelance journalist and published articles in a variety of magazines, I was paid $1 a word in the 1990s.
Wow.
$1 a word. So if I wrote 1,000-word article, I got $1,000. And
that's huge by today's standards, right?
And today, I just write for free and say thank you. So so to earn $9 is very ironic in my case, but it just shows that there's a new thing happening, and that felt good. Another thing that happened is that because I'm interacting with other writers on Medium who I like, a guy who has a podcast named Spoon of Consciousness invited me to be a guest on his podcast.
Cool.
And so that was an opportunity, and I did that. And then he said, anything I can do to help you in the future. And I'm starting a podcast, so I'm sure that he'll, do a little brainstorming with me to double check that I'm, putting things together well. And those are 2 things off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure there's a third. Well, Joel Miwako, who publishes Be Yourself, as I mentioned before, he then invited me to participate in his vulnerability project. So Joel seems to have, maybe it's a separate website, or I'm not sure, but he has a newsletter called Heal, and now he's interviewing people specifically for the vulnerability project. And so we did that interview and he published it. And of course he'll place my links in there. So since we're always trying to invite people back to our, mailing list, he allows us to do that. And also you just start to get your name out there, because Joel is doing this and Sachin Sharma is doing that, and people are mentioning me. And
that's nice.
I attached an article to my Facebook message to you. It's an article from the owner of Miracy, Danny Iny. I take Yeah, I take his Course Builders Laboratory e-course, and
How do you like that?
yeah, he's wonderful, and he provides more coaching than anybody else in the business.
Wow.
And I was reading his article. It was kind of a vulnerability piece about, okay, you know the ups of my journey as an entrepreneur, but now I'm going to share some of the downs. And
Yeah.
and
So
so
you're human.
yeah, so of course we all want to read that. So I'm scrolling through reading, and I had gone to a conference he had here in San Diego, and all of a sudden, bam, there's my photograph.
Wow. That's
So
cool.
it doesn't, I don't know that it draws anybody to my website, but I feel like there's just this kind of increased presence that I have.
Yeah. Well, you're more familiar when people see you, right?
Yeah. So those are some of the benefits, I think, of
That's
just putting myself out there. And I probably mentioned to Danny's team, please follow me on Medium. And then they took me more seriously because they're like, wow, look at her. She's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great to have something like that to offer and to build on. So I'm happy for all this great stuff that's happening to you. That's wonderful.
I'm happy. I'll be happier when it turns into an income, but
Yeah. Won't we all, right?
Won't we all? But I can tell that I'm kind of taking all the right steps.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
And gaining followers is a good sign, that my work is resonating with people and that I should stick with it.
Yeah, it is. It sure is. Well, I appreciate you sharing all this with me, and I've enjoyed this talk we've had.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me to talk, and I'd love to know if you get some results with this stuff, and I hope that your readers can apply it and benefit.
Yeah. Well, great. Yeah, I'll give it a whirl, and hopefully great things will start happening.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. It's great to meet you. Great to talk to you.
Same here.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.